When I was in school, I fell head over heels for Song Chiri and pursued him relentlessly for many years. I bullied others using my influence, discarding love letters others gave him, and even knocked over a lunchbox that Lin Wanbai had prepared for him. Later, when the school auditorium collapsed, I lost my legs while trying to save him. Out of a sense of obligation, he married me as my parents had hoped. He spent his life entangled with me. As I became irritable and quick-tempered due to my disability, Lin Wanbai said that he was meant to shine within his own circles, instead of being trapped by me, living a life of depression and unfulfillment due to guilt. One ordinary day, I drowned myself in the bathtub. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in my school days. My first encounter with Lin Wanbai ended with my hysterics. She didn't say much, just calmly asked me to let go of Song Chiri. Perhaps it was the words, let go, that triggered me. It made me drop all pretenses and become truly unreasonable. Emotions came swiftly and did not leave just as quickly. When I had managed to compose myself and returned, Song Chiri had already prepared dinner. As soon as I exited the elevator, I could smell the delicious aroma of the plum-flavored spare ribs I liked. Where have you been? Are you hungry? He came over to push my wheelchair, tenderly fixing the messy hair by my ear as he crouched down. I grabbed his hand, slightly annoyed. What's wrong? He asked gently. Are you tired, my love? When did it happen? I asked sternly. Song Chiri frowned, puzzled. When did you meet Lin Wanbai? The day before yesterday, while shopping. It was just a coincidence. I furiously slapped his hand, the pain resonating in my own. I knew it. I knew the old flames were rekindled, planning to be together forever. You despise me now, don't you? You don't want to be with me anymore, right? Song Chiri patiently bent down, though his eyes couldn't hide his fatigue. Don't think like that. There's nothing between her and me. I couldn't listen. My mind was a chaotic mess. Strange, noisy voices buzzed in my ears, their words indistinct. I felt extremely irritable, so I lashed out at him. Get out, just get out. Song Chiri's eyes reddened as he let me vent my frenzy. When I tired out, he brought my hand close to his face. I won't leave you. I don't need your pity. Just go away, I yelled, striking him hard. He turned his head from the force of my slap, his cheek quickly swelling. Yet, I forcefully pushed him away and wheeled back to my room. No matter how much Song Chiri apologized or pleaded, I refused to open the door. I was furious, yet I didn't understand why. Confusion and fear overwhelmed my mind. I screamed and cried hysterically in the bedroom, as if trying to cry myself to death on the spot. When I regained my senses, the room was a mess and it was already dark. Only the pale moonlight seeped through the window. I realized I had truly gone mad. The door opened, and there sat Song Chiri at the threshold, helplessly hugging his knees, leaning against the wall. The sound of the door startled him awake. He quickly got up, checking on my condition from all sides. Once assured I was okay, he embraced me. I know you're feeling uneasy, but you must believe, no matter what, that I love you. The light in the hallway was harsh, making my eyes sting. I held Song Chiri in my arms, my hand buried in his hair. In the light, I noticed the slight graying at his temples. A swelling feeling overcame my heart. I realized it had been a long time since I had looked closely at Song Chiri's face. So I cradled his face in my hands and studied it carefully. His eyes were swollen and red, yet his gaze was tender and affectionate. His smile, however, was heartbreakingly sad. Lin Wanbai was right. He should have pursued everything he loved. He should have had a vast future ahead, instead of being trapped in this small place because of me. I'm sorry. I heard my voice tremble, unable to hold back the tears any longer. I sobbed breathlessly. Song Chiri pressed his lips close to mine, silencing all my apologies. He kissed away my tears, whispering repeatedly in my ear, you don't need to be sorry, I love you, too. I knew I could fall apart at any moment, because these crazy days often unfolded between me and Song Chiri. Taking advantage of a lucid moment, I consulted a lawyer and made a will. After taking care of these matters, I felt a great relief. It was as if a stone weighing on my heart had been lifted. Seeing my condition improve, Song Chiri's spirits lifted as well. He took me to the seaside. At the roaring shore, he loudly declared his wish to be with me forever. He took me on a cable car to watch the sunrise, as the sunlight bathed the earth. He kissed me repeatedly, declaring his love, but those sweet words pierced my heart like a knife. Then, on an ordinary day, I said I wanted to eat plum spare ribs. He originally wanted to go out with me, but I stubbornly stayed in bed, saying I didn't want to move. Before he left, he repeatedly promised to come home early. I smiled and kissed his cheek, waving at him, be safe, watching from the window as he waved back and drove away. I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. I repeatedly slapped my legs. Despair, collapse. After calming down, the world was dead silent. I turned my gaze to the bathroom and then crawled into the bathtub. This simple action exhausted all my strength. Lying in the bathtub, I was spent and could only gasp for air with my mouth open. I laughed looking at the ceiling. The warm water from the shower had randomly splashed on my face. I remembered the first time I met Song Chiri. It was a cliché scene from a romantic drama, a rainy day without an umbrella. He entered my heart with an umbrella and his gentle words, and I trapped him with persistence and a life-saving debt for over a decade. It was time to return him to the sea of people, so, like a fish, I plunged into the water, swimming towards the deep sea. From then on, both he and I were free. 3. In my hand was a pink Hello Kitty lunchbox, surrounding me were jeers and noise. The boy in front of me still looked as green as he did in my memories, his face flushed with embarrassment. Catching sight of my unharmed legs, I momentarily lost focus. Then, my legs gave way, and I awkwardly fell to the ground. Food scattered everywhere, and the jeering grew louder. Sue, what are you doing? Lin Wanbai pushed through the crowd, her gaze on me not too friendly. Seeing the lunchbox she gave me knocked over, her eyes reddened with anger. Sue, what's the point? How long do you plan to keep this up? I touched my leg and fiercely pinched it. It hurt. Tears of excitement were the first to spill over. The noisy crowd quieted down for a moment. Don't think that crying makes you right. I quickly scrambled up from the ground, clumsily cleaning up the aftermath. Amidst the murmurs of the crowd, I picked up all the love letters from the trash can. After cleaning them, I neatly placed them on Song-chi's desk. Then, I gathered all the snacks from my locker and stuffed them into Song-chi's arms. I bowed deeply to Lin Wanbai and Song-chi, saying, I'm sorry. After a physics class, I came to terms with the fact that I had been reborn, perhaps out of excitement. I cried for the entire class. The old man, looking through his thick glasses, gave me a puzzled look. Sue, why are you crying? Is it that difficult? Looking at my test paper, covered in red crosses and scored in single digits, my voice choked. Teacher, physics is really hard. Then you better switch to the humanities soon. The class burst into laughter. The old man, frustrated yet caring, pointed at everyone. Laugh, you still dare to laugh? Just look at your own scores. Just then, Song-chi finished his questions and interrupted the old man's rant. The old man glanced at his solution, smiled, and nodded. Look, everyone, look. Then he patted Song-chi. Song, study hard. You have hope in the competition this year. Sue, ask Song-chi if there's something you don't understand. I glanced at the taciturn boy and quickly lowered my head. After evening self-study, I ran frantically out of the school gate. My untrained legs were a bit unsteady. Lin Wanbai quickly caught up to me, blocking me at the school gate. Sue, don't go too far. I turned around. What? Song-chi doesn't like you at all. Do you know how annoying you are? I know. I tugged at my strap, feeling a bit guilty. I'm sorry to him. Lin Wanbai paused for a moment, her prepared argument stuck in her throat. I bit my lip, stepped forward, took her hand sincerely. I wish you happiness. Lin Wanbai frowned. What? I know you like him. Go for it. Work hard. Her face turned pale and then red, embarrassed by her feelings being exposed. You? What are you talking about? It's obviously you who likes. I turned and ran into the night. Lin Wanbai chased after me, shouting, Sue, stop talking nonsense. On Monday, I joyfully moved my books to the humanities class. Standing on the podium with my backpack, smiling, I said, goodbye to my classmates of 2 years. Although it's early, I still hope everyone achieves great success. I took out a big bag of snacks from my backpack. I used to be quite annoying. I apologize here, and thank everyone for taking care of me during this time. I handed out snacks to everyone. When passing Song-chi, I specifically picked his favorite canned yellow peach. Sorry for bothering you for so long. I hope I haven't influenced you. Song-chi glanced at me quickly, then lowered his head. No, although I knew he was always generous and good-tempered, I still felt so guilty I wanted to cry. In the 15 years we've been entangled, I owe him too much. It wasn't just my own legs that were trapped, but fortunately, everything was still salvageable. It was still possible to make amends, and also possible to give him back the life he deserved. 7. The person blocking me turned out to be Song-chi Lee. At the entrance of the milk tea shop, I was relishing my roasted cold noodles. He stood silently beside me, taking the milk tea from the clerk on my behalf. What's up? Song-chi Lee clumsily hung the milk tea on my fingers and pulled out a thick notebook from his backpack. This is a compilation of frequently tested math problems. The look in his eyes was cautious, almost probing. One hand held the notebook, the other nervously gripped the strap of his backpack. The dim yellow light shone on his head. Why are you giving this to me? I finally managed to swallow the last of my noodles. Before he could speak, I stepped forward nonchalantly, looked up, and grinned. You don't happen to like me, do you? The boy's face turned bright red, like a cooked shrimp. He blinked frantically, shifting his gaze away, unwilling to look at me anymore. A moment later, he seemed a bit angry. His eyebrows furrowed tightly. He slapped the notebook against me, lowering his voice. I'm just thankful for the snacks. And besides, Sue, we should prioritize our studies right now. Throughout the years we lived together, I rarely saw Song-chi Lee this flustered. It seemed like my endless mischief and madness had gradually smoothed the edges of his youth. Maybe he was going mad too, but while I could still voice my sickness and madness, he could only keep silent in those desperate years. Preserving my ridiculous pride, a pang of pain struck my heart, but I laughed. You took that seriously? His expression froze. He looked at me, puzzled for a moment. Sui, sometimes you're quite cruel. This time, it was my turn to be silent. I had indeed cruelly clipped the wings of an eagle meant to soar, confining it to a tiny world. I was indeed very cruel. When I looked up again, Song Chili had already walked away with his backpack, disappearing into the moonlight. His shadow elongated under the streetlights, growing more distant. Suddenly, I felt an urge to cry. 8. After my numerous hints, the principal noticed the risk in the auditorium. The school closed the auditorium and planned renovations during the holiday, with this major worry resolved. I could finally breathe a sigh of relief. During this period, Song Chi Lee represented the school in the provincial physics competition, just like in my previous life. He placed in the top 3 and qualified for the national competition. I saw him when I went to the office to hand in homework. The old man, excited, patted his shoulder, impressed by the promising youth. Give the national competition a shot, you might even get a direct admission. The old man took off his glasses, wiping away tears of excitement. Song Chili remained as composed as ever, his face betraying little emotion. Seeing me pass by, the old man called out, Sui. You should learn more from Xiao Song. I flashed a toothy smile. Sure, teacher. Song Chili looked up at me. I responded with a smile. If we rise in fortune, let's not forget each other. He looked slightly embarrassed, but nodded in the end. 9. The school seized the tail end of the term to hold an arts festival. Everyone knew that next semester they would face the tough challenge of the senior year, thus everyone was particularly excited about this festival. In my past life, I was completely focused on Song Chili and paid no attention to such events. This time, I actively collaborated with my classmates to create a drama, from the script to rehearsals, to costumes and music. I invested myself fully, at 17 or 18, at the peak of our creative prowess. Our original play caused quite a stir. Standing on stage during the curtain call, I was so moved that I nearly cried. It was then I realized how much I had missed in this chapter of life we call youth. After the show, I ran into Song Chiri backstage. His white shirt made him look even younger than usual. He had signed up for a singing and guitar performance. Seeing me crying uncontrollably, he appeared surprised. I got too emotional, I said with a laugh, wiping the tears from my eyes. What are you going to sing? Song Chiri touched his guitar and replied, Onha Bridge. In my past life, Song Chiri hadn't signed up to perform. Maybe back then, I had bothered him too much, and he couldn't spare the mental energy to participate in these activities. You were amazing, he said with a gentle smile. Really impressive. The host had already announced the end of the interval. I waved at him. It's your turn to go on stage now. Good luck. The drumbeat started, and Song Chiri went up on stage with his guitar. I peeked from behind the curtain. The audience was full of youthful, fresh faces, and the sound of the morincourt filled the speakers. The spotlight shone on him, a figure meant to dazzle. But Song Chiri, why does your song sound so full of regret? At last, I chalked it up to the melodramatic emotions of youth. My thoughts suddenly shifted. I wondered if during those nights spent with me, he ever glimpsed moments of his younger days in his dreams. But waking up to the silence of a long night, all that remained was his wife, afflicted with a mental illness. It was all too despairing. Watching him, I was unable to hold back tears. Song Chiri, holding his guitar, looked my way. I turned my head, unable to meet his clear eyes. In my past life, an accident at the art festival had occurred. After today, history would be rewritten. I would not lose my legs, and Song Chiri would not be hindered by me. We would both head towards a bright future. But it seems there's always someone facing troubles in this world. As I passed by an alley, several people were standing inside. A few crimson lights flickered from a dark box, followed by malicious voices. What are you looking at? Get lost. A man with a cigarette gestured at me, not someone I could afford to provoke. I shrank my neck, hurriedly shifted my gaze, and quickened my pace. Voices came from the alley. Lin Wanbai, you're seeking death. Then, a crisp slap sound. I stopped in my tracks and turned back to the alley entrance. Damn it, you really want to die, don't you? Haven't I given you chances? The leader said. Seeing me return, the group turned to look at me. Lin Wanbai was crouching in the corner, casting a pleading look towards me. I called the police, I said to the leader. Someone sneered. Everyone knows you're not allowed to bring phones to school. You think we're easy to fool, huh? I pulled out my phone from my pocket. Sorry, but I really did call the police. Phones weren't allowed in school, but I always sneaked mine in. A tattooed thug squeezed through the crowd, fixing his gaze on me. What's your name? My heart raced, but I forced myself to look up and said, Bu Chu. An eerie silence fell over the alley. You just wait. The man spat a puff of secondhand smoke at my face. The smoke made me cough violently. A group of people trickled away, their mopeds buzzing faintly in the night air. I stepped forward and helped Lin Wanbai to her feet. Her face was swollen, and her eyes were red. Thank you, she said, her voice tinged with a sob. It's okay. Where do you live? I'll take you home. She turned to look at me, her expression complex. The one who spoke out earlier is my stepbrother. I didn't want to delve too deeply or get involved in someone else's family matters. Just then, Song Chilai approached from a distance. I raised my hand. Song Chi-lai. I pulled Lin Wanbai over and walked up to him. Little Bai is timid. You take her home. Song Chi-lai frowned slightly, his lips barely moving. Time to show some chivalry. I patted his arm and took my leave. In my previous life, because of me, they missed each other even though they were perfectly matched. This time, I would do my best to make amends. 12, the start of senior year in high school, Song Chi-lai outdid himself, securing a first-place prize in the national competition. The school celebrated with banners and a dedicated promotional board praising him. Speech under the national flag on Monday, the principal, trembling with excitement, almost fainted as he read from his notes on stage. When Song Chi-lai went up to speak, the applause lasted for over 10 minutes. My hands hurt from clapping so hard, yet, he put aside his prepared speech and spoke eloquently and naturally. The applause thundered once again. This time, he truly made a big splash. 13. But fate seems to love playing tricks on people. Just a month ago, Song Chi-lai was basking in applause and flowers on stage. A month later, when I saw him again, he was uncharacteristically downcast. Even during morning exercises, he seemed distracted, like a frostbitten eggplant. I had a hunch. So I stopped Lin Wanbai. What's wrong with Song Chi-lai? Lin Wanbai looked troubled, hesitating. This only seemed to confirm my suspicions. There's a long road ahead. Don't let this affect your entrance exams. Lin Wanbai rolled her eyes at me sharply. What are you even thinking about? So, what's been going on with Song Chi-lai lately? Lin Wanbai gritted her teeth. Song Chi-lai's mom is sick. She sighed deeply. Cancer. 14. I realized I never truly understood Song Chi-lai. I knew he was from a single-parent family and that his mother had high expectations for him. His mother had only appeared during our wedding in my previous life. Beyond that, I knew little else. I didn't know what I felt as I followed him. He had applied for a waiver from evening self-study, just because he needed to rush to a restaurant to wait tables. After the restaurant closed, he washed dishes, until the moon was high in the sky. Only then would he drag his exhausted body home, shoulders slumped, the weight of life pressing down on his shoulders, leaving him breathless. Song Chi-lai is quite proud, Lin Wanbai said. She sighed again. He seems to be thinking about not going to college. If not college, then what? Private tutoring? Or maybe re-enrolling in another school to make money? I was at a loss for words. His mother's illness needed money, and all he could do was use his outstanding academic performance to earn it. I want to help him. Lin Wanbai hesitated before finally speaking. Sue, maybe he doesn't want your help. 15. It seemed like at this age, everyone liked to be obstinate. Lin Wanbai was no exception. Song Chiri is like that. Lin Wanbai's older stepbrother is the same. This time he came alone, riding a glowing ghost bike. The strange honking surrounded me. Oddly enough, though he was the one honking, I was the one who felt embarrassed. Sue, I now know your name. He spoke with a cigarette dangling from his lips, his casual demeanor begging for a punch. What a coincidence. My surname is also Su Weilon. Such a pity, wasting such a nice name. Date me, and I'll drive you to and from school. A cringeworthy cliché that made me want to bang my head against a wall. I just kept my head down and walked on, feeling snubbed. He quickly got irritated. He grabbed my backpack. Sue, are you listening to me? I had no choice but to stop. I've already made myself clear. No dating. Su Weilon was puzzled. Why? I don't like it. What about me don't you like? I can change. I don't like smokers, people with tattoos, those who don't study properly, and those who wander around on a ghost bike all day. Su Weilon shook his hair and flashed a confident smile. Sue, I don't like your excuses. Moreover, cornering a girl in an alley and bullying her is utterly tasteless. Su Weilon's expression changed. He threw away his cigarette and stomped on it fiercely. He pointed at me. Sue, well done. Someone stepped between me and Su Weilon. I looked up. It was Song Chiri. He shielded me behind him. Harass her again, and I'll call the police. Su Weilon laughed. What? Is the police station part of our school, or is it right here in our school? I pulled Song Chiri away. Don't waste words with him. Su Weilon continued to honk his horn loudly behind us. Sue, I'm going to pursue you. How embarrassing. We walked a long way before I finally let go of his hand. You finally showed up. I looked up at him. Don't worry about your mom's situation. I'll figure something out. Song Chiri suddenly turned pale. Just focus on your studies, especially your beloved physics. You don't need to worry about anything else. I patted my chest. Leave the rest to me. Song Chiri's head was bowed. After a while, he looked up with red eyes and tear-filled. Sue, this is my own matter. I patted his shoulder. Don't be formal with me. I owe you that. I don't need it. Song Chiri managed to say. I didn't realize before how stubborn he was, and I don't like physics. With that, he walked away. Under the streetlight, his figure was upright and firm. This is a time when kids are sensitive and prideful. Lin Wanbai was right. He is a proud person, but I have no disdain for him. I simply want to help in my own way as much as I can. I sniffled again, feeling the tears welling up. I tried to convince my parents to support Song Chili. I told them about his excellent character and promising future, how helpful he had been, and that my improvement in math was all thanks to him. I also shared about his unfortunate circumstances and his tragic family background. But parents know their children best. My ulterior motives were never hidden from their eyes. One day, my mom gently pushed open my bedroom door and asked, "Honey, you like him, don't you?" I nodded honestly, "Mom, please help him." She stroked my head. Her words left unspoken. My parents decided to sponsor Song Chili in the name of their company. They took care of his mother's ongoing medical expenses and his future tuition and living costs. I thought this would at least ease his burden. But he became even more reserved. Even when I saw him during exercise, he quickly turned his head away. Perhaps it was his pride. That's what I thought. The college entrance exam was looming. And I had no time to dwell on these thoughts. Even with a second chance at life, I was still terrified of the exams. In my past life, I was nearly driven insane. I had almost forgotten everything, not just the exam questions. After the motivational assembly, it was an endless cycle of tests every 3 days. The papers were handed out and collected before we could even thoroughly go over the mistakes. Dark circles and acne plagued my face from the stress, despite being exhausted every day. My weight kept increasing. I felt like a taut string, close to breaking. Finally, when the bell rang and the English papers and answer cards were collected, I sighed a long breath of relief. It seemed like just another ordinary day, but I had secretly lived through it twice. In the class group chat, everyone was noisily discussing the next steps. I looked at Song Chili's profile picture, wanting to ask how his exams went, but then I remembered he had already been recommended for admission. The graduation ceremony was held at the stadium. The principal had rented the venue and even set up a temporary stage. It took me a while to find Song Chili. He and Lin Wanbai were sitting towards the back, quietly watching the performance on stage. During one of the acts, someone took the opportunity to confess their feelings, eliciting cheers and screams from the crowd, a signature of youth. Lin Wanbai's cheeks were slightly flushed as she looked at the person next to her. My step faltered, and I froze in place. Everything should stop here. I should let him live his life fully, watch him shine and soar. That's the life he deserved. So I turned around and walked towards the back of the stage, where there was a large empty space with few people. Finally, I had a moment to think about my own future. Sue. A familiar, cool voice stopped me. My body stiffened, and my face inexplicably heated up. The June wind was warm as it hit my skin. Song Chili stood at a distance. "Thank you." He was standing against the light. "I will pay you back the money," he said. "No, you don't have to," I replied, stepping forward a bit flustered. But Song Chili took a half step back. "Sue, I don't want to owe you anything. I want to do this squarely." Fireworks burst in the sky, illuminating his face. He was crying. "I like you." The evening breeze was still warm, carrying the sound waves from the stage and crashing into my eardrums. His confession was like a witch's spell. I stood there, across from him, speechless as if struck. My limbs started to go numb, a premonition of being poisoned. Finally, I asked him as he continued to cry, why? Was it because I reached out to help him, so the butterfly of his youth fluttered its wings, finally stirring up a storm in his heart? But Song Chili, this isn't liking, not even a flutter of the heart. He choked back tears, about to reveal the answer to all this, but the music of youth abruptly stopped, and the stage speakers emitted a piercing screech. I saw the neon lights swirling, the stage collapsing, the steel frame rushing towards Song Chili and me. Memories overlapped rapidly in my mind as I frantically lunged towards him, still immersed in sadness. I pulled him away, then pushed him aside. I saw the brilliant Milky Way swirling, heard the noisy cries and shouts. Excruciating pain dominated my body, as if to completely tear me apart. After a long surgery, the anesthesia plunged me into a long nightmare. In the dream, memories were jumbled, filled with shattered vases and plates, a complete mess. What remained was Song Chili's eyes, misty and slightly red, yet filled with a deathly stillness. Waking from the dream, I looked at my legs, wrapped due to injuries, and felt despair and fear again. Could it be that, given another chance, I would still be unable to change the inevitable? No, I cannot repeat the same mistakes. Before Song Chili could visit, I asked my parents to transfer me to another hospital. Perhaps my legs can still be saved. Maybe I can stand again. Heaven forbid. My legs weren't amputated. They won't bear ugly scars. I still have a chance. Overnight, I completely removed myself from Song Chili's life. Like an extra who exits the stage early after a performance, I didn't even stay for the curtain call. I blocked and deleted all his contacts, trying to use this clean and thorough method to quickly exit his life. I'm scared of history repeating itself. I didn't even dare to delve deeper, to question where his feelings for me originated. Perhaps we should sit down and have a proper talk. He leaned against the colonnade in the park, and I sat in a wheelchair by his side. We both gently watched the artificial lake ripple with the breeze. He slowly shared his journey of the heart, and I listened, visibly moved. What then? To love, to marry, and then to suffer through the long years. I no longer want such an ending. I fear I can't let go, and then fall back in. So I can only escape, stay away. The moment before I blocked him, my still nimble fingers danced on the keyboard, weaving a 5-word lie for him. I don't like you. I managed to save my legs, but just barely. They're still part of me, yet they lack the strength even to support me standing up. The doctor mentioned there's a hope I could stand again, but it's a faint hope. My mom was wiping her tears in my dad's arms, whereas I actually found myself smiling. Mom plans to send me abroad, to change the environment and also to seek treatment for my legs. On the day we were handling the arrangements, I quietly packed the things I wanted to take with me. I didn't manage to get much out before visitors came to see me. Lin Wanbai and her stepbrother Su Weilon were among them. To avoid Song Qilai, I had been staying at my grandmother's house after being discharged from the hospital. I'm not sure how the two of them found this place. Grandma warmly welcomed them in and invited them to sit in the courtyard. When I appeared at the living room doorway in my wheelchair, Su Weilon stood up quickly. He rushed to my back and helped push my wheelchair. We stopped in front of Lin Wanbai, who was holding some melon slices that Grandma had cut. Her eyes were red, and she focused on my legs. Su-yi, your legs. I smiled and lifted the thin blanket to show my pale and skinny calves. They're still here. I pinched the loose muscles. Be happy for me. I might be able to stand again. Really? Su Weilon spoke first, and that's when I noticed him. He had a buzz cut and even removed his tattoos, looking much fresher. There was less fierceness in his eyes, though he still had a bit of a reckless air. Lin Wanbai hesitated, glancing at me and then at Su Weilon. Why are you looking at me? Su Weilon snapped. I waved him off. I want to talk to Lin Wanbai alone. Step away for a bit. What can I hear? He was slightly upset. If it weren't for me, would she have found you? Su Weilon, do you really need to be involved in a girl's topic? He reluctantly tried to stay. But after I crossed my arms and showed annoyance, he walked away sulkily. It was just Lin Wanbai and me in the courtyard now. She lifted her red eyes to me. Song Qilai, he's been looking for you. Hearing that name gave me a feeling as if ages had passed. I quickly averted my gaze and picked up a piece of sweet melon from the table. What does he want with me? Su-yi, can't you see that he likes you? The melon that tasted so sweet yesterday now seemed utterly bland. I bit into it harshly. What are you trying to say? Weren't you fond of him before? Why are you avoiding him now? I don't like him. It was just for fun back then. I quickly finished the melon and wiped my mouth as I looked at her. Besides, I'm going abroad soon. I'll be kissing foreign cheeks. She froze, her face turning pale. She opened her mouth to speak but eventually lowered her gaze. You applied to the same school as him, didn't you? Lin Wanbai nodded. I feigned ease. Perfect. Then you can pass on the message for me. Tell him not to look for me anymore. Consider any so-called favors as compensation for the times I played with him. So, all your pestering and clinging to him, that was just you playing with him.
Yeah,
I said unabashedly. I've had a privileged life since childhood, always getting whatever I wished for, whether it was the stars or the moon. He was so aloof back then, looking at me as if I were a dog. There's a song that goes, what you can't get always causes unrest. I smacked my lips and shook my head. Lin Wanbai, he and I are from different worlds, and I never imagined he'd be so dull as to say he likes me. It was me who idealized him. Once he came down from his pedestal, I suddenly found him utterly bland. Lin Wanbai's face turned red and then pale, as if performing a quick change act. Then why did you save him? Who doesn't want to be a hero? Besides, we've been classmates for so many years. And he was confessing his feelings for me at that moment. It would have been too pitiful to just watch indifferently. Lin Wanbai pulled out her phone from her bag. Did you hear that? It felt like a rush of blood to the crown of my head, tingling uncomfortably. Song Qilai, your affection is worthless to her. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Lin Wanbai hung up furiously. When she looked at me, she fought back tears, but was smiling. I will win him over and be with him. Su-yi, you've missed out on a really great person. She then got up and left. I sat there, feeling as if my soul had been drained. Su Weilon came over, clueless, and grabbed some fruit. What kind of fruit is this? It's so sweet. Only the wind blew in response. What were you guys talking about? Did Lin Wanbai say something to you? I'll sort her out. I forced a smile. Su Weilon, that's your sister, he scoffed. I never considered her my sister, if it weren't for her and her mother. My father wouldn't have been so heartless. I didn't know the specifics of his family feud and had no right to judge. By the way, I'm going back to school, he said, grabbing another piece of fruit and smiling happily. With this change, can I pursue you now? No, why? I've changed everything you didn't like. Love doesn't work like that. There are not always clear reasons. He finished eating the fruit in frustration, his teeth gritted. I don't believe it. I will pursue you. Life on the other side of the ocean was barely manageable. I juggled between hospital visits and schoolwork, burdened by my feeble legs. By graduation, I could barely stand up from my wheelchair, first for 3 seconds, then 10, then half a minute. I excitedly video called my parents. Miraculously standing up from my wheelchair, my mom opened her mouth in shock, and my dad quickly covered it to stifle her scream. I gasped for air, standing for 1 minute and 32 seconds. It was a new record since I had been able to stand. Even though I was sweating profusely, I was overjoyed. Like the little mermaid who gained legs and stepped onto land from the depths of the ocean, I fell back into the wheelchair, laughing heartily until I ended up sobbing. My mom praised me through her tears. Eventually, also breaking down crying, Dad silently shed tears and immediately changed the call to a video conference, deciding to visit me with Mom overnight. I can stand up now. Eventually, I'll be able to walk, to run, and to jump. When I was able to walk independently again, I came across news about Song Chili. He had secured a position for his master's program during his undergraduate studies, and later went straight into a combined master's and PhD program due to his publication of a significant paper. He has risen high, like many others. I have begun to look up to him. He appeared as a special guest in an interview, casually promoting physics, thanks to his good looks. He sparked a heated online debate. So handsome, so aloof, playing with me is nothing like playing with a dog, wishing I pass physics at the end of term, pity he studies physics. Wonder if we'd have anything in common after getting married. Amidst the flurry of discussions, his past was dug up, and so was the news of my dismal grades in physics. Someone leaked that I had once pursued him aggressively, making it sound very dramatic. Wow, handsome and smart. I'd chase him too if I were his classmate, the aloof scholar in The Beautiful Fool. I'm here for it. Like a real-life Xiang Qin and Ji Shu, the netizens discussed wildly, even speculating about the outcome for Song Chili and me. Facing what was said online, I moved far away. While Song Chili was engrossed in his research, they let their imaginations run wild with speculation. Finally, an alumnus of Song Chili stepped forward to set the record straight, stating that Lin Wanbai and he were the true match of talents and beauty. That's when I was overlooked. A small group of people still shipped Song Chili and me. Some even dug up my social media accounts and found my photos, but it didn't make much of a splash. It's the talented couples that people love to see. Anything else is just a sideshow. During the grand anniversary celebration of University A, Song Chili and Lin Wanbai were invited as distinguished alumni. The event was a hot topic online, and University A kept up with the trend by live streaming the celebration. The public's enthusiasm for gossip was undiminished, with some bold enough to ask about his personal life. During the interaction segment, the host awkwardly mentioned privacy and tried to deflect the topic. Song Chili smiled gently, took the microphone, and began to tell a story. This is a story about love. A man kissed his wife on the forehead before leaving home to buy groceries. She waved at him with a smile, reminding him to be careful. On his way home, remembering his wife was in good spirits today, he bought her a bouquet of flowers. He also picked up her favorite cake from the past. Seeing the lights on at home, his heart filled with happiness. But when he reached his apartment and called out several times, his wife didn't come to the door. He thought she'd be happy to see the flowers he brought. Perhaps she was upset because he was gone too long. He entered the living room and found it empty. She wasn't there. It seemed she was annoyed by his late return. He walked familiarly to the bedroom, softly apologizing. The bedroom door was ajar and unresponsive. It seemed she was giving him the silent treatment. He pushed the door open, and the bed was empty in the darkness. He became anxious, quickly turned on the light, and scanned the room. His wife was nowhere. Not even her phone was there. His heart started pounding chaotically, and he began calling out her name, but no one responded. Maybe she went out, he tried to reassure himself. Suddenly, he turned his gaze towards the bathroom, a bad feeling rising in him, almost crawling. He made his way to the bathroom door. The door was locked, and he couldn't open it. He suddenly felt a surge of fear and began to frantically bang on the door, calling out his wife's name as he did so. When the door burst open, he saw the empty wheelchair, and his wife, lying quietly in the bathtub. The bathtub was filled with water, and his wife lay there, submerged, like a sleeping princess. He lifted his wife from the bathtub, his throat releasing a mournful cry. He called her name over and over, but couldn't wake her. In Tales, the prince awakens the sleeping beauty with a kiss. He tried to do the same, but he was no prince, and his kiss held no magic. Song Chili stopped abruptly, his eyes scanning the juniors and seniors seated below. Their faces were a mix of confusion, and some even showed disdain. The comments on the live feed were relentless. What's this, so? That's it. Is the gap between me and the top student really that big? What is he talking about? What wife? Is the top student married? Is my fantasy couple going to break up? Someone in the audience loudly asked him. Senior, who do you really like? Lin Wanbai averted her gaze silently. A sudden pain gripped Song Chili's heart. He thought he had made himself very clear that there would be someone who resonated with his feelings, who understood what he meant. But that person seemed unwilling to respond, just as silently as choosing to drown in the bathtub. She chose to drift away from him. In her will, Sui left all her assets to him. She wanted him to continue his physics research, to pursue his passions. Only then did he realize that throughout their decade-long marriage, Sui had thought he stayed only out of gratitude, but every confession he made came from the depths of his heart. He truly loved Sui. From the moment she stumbled into his life and eventually his heart, her unreasonable tantrums, her smugness when she sneaked glances, he noticed them all, and in the end, he personally buried Sui in a small box. He placed his lifelong love. He followed her wishes and silently dedicated himself to physics, but his passion was never truly physics. He was almost mad, driven by a certain obsession. Others thought he was engrossed in academia, but only he knew what he truly wanted to do. He tried to unravel the universe, to solve the mysteries of time. He tried to return to the past, to the beginning of their story. He told himself throughout the decades that separation was not to be feared. Even if he never succeeded, he would become the wind. The atoms in the universe do not perish. He would meet her again someday, even if, in the end, it was only as particles of dust, nestled together. In his final year, plagued by illness, he solved the equation of time. He successfully traversed the seas of time, passed through the flowers of memory, and touched the moments of her. But it was only for a moment. He tried, failed, and tried again, over and over. His growing madness fueled by undying love, he borrowed the lyrics to sing in He Chiao. Let me take one more look at you. But his time was too short. Before he could say hello, he had to rush off. Hoping for a next time, he kept trying, kept failing, until he stood before her, tears streaming down his face. He said, I like you. After he spoke, he regretted it. He should have been bolder and said, I love you. He had so much to tell her, how his heart fluttered for her, how willingly he loved, how her pain hurt him, his decades of love and longing. But as the world spun, he was pulled back again. Until his body withered, he approached the brink of death. He held their joint photograph and peacefully awaited death. But instead, he awoke once more. He had crossed the seas of time. Plucked the flowers filled with longing. He had to find her. He had to express his overflowing love, to hold her hand tightly, never to let go again. At this moment, on the other side of the ocean where spring is just beginning, the salty sea breeze, mingled with the scent of flowers, hits my face. I crouch down, covering my face, unable to cry out. The live broadcast has not yet been cut off, and the confession finally travels across the sea of time. Reaching my ears from the other end of the phone, Sui, I love you. Where are you? I'll come find you.